On this worksheet today, the first 9 problems or so, just ask, are you going to start with the law of sines or are you going to start with the law of cosines? That's it. You're not solving anything. You're just saying the first move is law of sines or the first move is law of cosines. If you have to do 2 moves, what's the second move going to be? Sines every time. You would be foolish to perform the law of cosines twice. So if you have side angle side, you do the law of cosines. If you want to find one of the other angles, the law of sines will be much easier. But with side angle side and side side side, you don't have a choice. The first move is always law of cosines. Yeah, law of cosines. And then everything after that will be law of sines. Okay? Oh, good. If you get your option between, so for instance on number 1, that's a good point. Okay. So number 1, do we have a choice? No. Which one has, okay, look at 7. What do we have? We have side, 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 angle. So really, we have side, 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 and we also have angle, side, side. This one tells us to use cosines, and this one tells us to use sines, and if we have our choice, we want to do this. How many triangles are there? Well, this guarantees 1. So we don't even need to worry about a second triangle. You can just do law of sines using angle, side, side, and it will figure it out. Okay? All right. So the next set, number 11. Here we have angle, angle, side, side. So what are we going to use? Sines, because we have our choice. 12 is a little bit tricky. It says find angle C. How would you find C? Well, we have to find side B. We're looking at side angle side, which requires us to use law of cosines. Which version of the law of cosines will you use? You have to use the b squared equation. And the b squared equation is going to tell us what little b is. Once you know little b, you can switch to the law of sines to figure out what angle C is. Yeah, so sometimes you have no choice but to do 2 steps. Okay. Look at 14. What are we using for 14? Law of sines. We have angle, side, side. How many triangles are there? Well, angle, side, side. If the second side is smaller than the first side, what does that tell us? It's either 2 or 0, except for the really strange case when there is exactly 1, which would be if that's a right angle, which you would know, if you did the law of sines, you'd know really quickly that it's a right angle, because you'd have sine of E equals 1. So that's a 90-degree angle. So that, I mean, right triangles are really popular in trig, but when you move on to the law of sines and cosines, they just don't happen very often. So probably won't happen. Yes? No, use the law of sines. Law of sines will tell you angle E. Okay? Now, let's say the angle E is 40. What does that tell me? I know, it's asking for angle F, but we can't figure that out until we know what angle E is. So, what if angle E is 40? So, let's say that this angle is 40. What does that tell me? How many triangles are there? Well, if F is 40, then its supplement would be 140. Can 140 and the original 36 make a new triangle? Yes. So in that case, there would be two triangles. What if angle E was 30? Well, 30 has a supplement of 160, and 160 and 36 cannot make a triangle. So that would be 1. But I know it can't be 30. Why? Because 62 is smaller than 71. So whatever E is, it has to be bigger than 36. How do you know if there's no triangle? So if I do the law of sines and I get the sine of E equals like 1.1, then there is no triangle. Okay? So this one either has no solution or 2, unless, of course, the sine of E is 1, and then there would be one solution. Well, you can't find F until you find E. Once you know angle E, and I'll go ahead and tell you, there are 2 options for E in this case. Don't forget the second one. Yes. So E is either there or it's here, in which case you have a short f or you have a long f. Well, okay, let's do this. We did this the other day a whole bunch of times. Sine of 36 over 62 is equal to sine of E over 71. So 71 sine 36 over 62. Does this triangle exist? Yes. So I automatically know it exists twice. Because the existing one can't happen, because 62 is too short. So we now know there are 2 answers. So whenever you have angle side side and the second side is shorter than the first side and the triangle exists, there are 2 triangles. So we're going to have angle E equals something, which will give us some value for F. But there's a second angle E, which will give us a second value of F. The first E can be found by taking the inverse. So the first E is 42.3. Well done. Okay, and then you can do the law of sines to find F. Everybody understand that? Okay. How do you find the second E? It's the supplement of 42. So 180 minus 42, 138. Well, okay, 138, that's close enough. And then you use that angle to find F. Okay? Now that's why some people prefer the law of cosines, because you can go straight to F. But finding those roots with irrational quadratics on your calculator is kind of a mess, so I would just stick with the law of sines. I don't ever do the law of cosines for angle side side. Okay. And then turn the page. These challenge problems, there are a lot of ways to look at them. I recommend thinking about it for a while and finding the easiest route. For instance, number 17. Let's see. I know this is 25, and I know this is 12, and I know that angle, which is side angle side, so that can tell me side little d, or actually that's A, isn't it? That will tell me side little a. Yeah, it's A from here. Okay? Well, once I know A, little a, then I have the big triangle, 35, and this, but I don't know any of the angles yet. Okay? Well, I could figure out this angle, and then I would have angle side side, and I could calculate A, but there's an easier way. Right? I would have to do law of cosines to find that, law of sines to find that, and then law of sines again to find this. Don't do things the long way. Jason noticed the supplement of 118, 62, and now I can eliminate this triangle altogether, and I have angle, side, side. How many triangles is this one going to have? 1, because when I swing this 35, it's too long. So it's only going to have one answer. Law of sines will tell us angle A. So each one of these can be done in 2, 3, 4, 5 different ways. You'll want to look at it and figure out, can it be done in one equation? That can be solved using one version of the law of sines. Or you could do cosine, sine, sines, which is a waste of time. All right? Okay, get to work. Good luck.